Hi, I'm Lee, and welcome to Cryptically Speaking. Specifically, I wanted to talk to you today about cryptozoology, cryptids. Now, specifically, this is creatures like Bigfoot, Loch Ness Monster, werewolves, things like that. These are creatures that everything from living fossils like the Loch Ness Monster being a dinosaur, to emergent mutation concepts like chupacabra, to actual fairy tale creatures like Pegasus. When it comes to creatures like this, generally, for me, they fall into two basic categories, the plausible and the magical. Now, Pegasus is a good example of the magical. If you go by the mythology, then really what you have is a horse with wings, maybe a horse-bird hybrid. People can roll with it, it's fine. But if you get into the actual reality of it, what you have here is not just an equine-avian hybridization, two entirely different branches of evolution that would never blend. You also have a hexapod, a creature with 6 limbs. No mammals or birds are 6-limbed. That is only found in insects. So it's an entirely different field of mutation. Could there be a horse with something that looked like feathers? Yeah, mutations happen. But you're not going to find a hexapod horse. Pegasus gets left out. Is it possible that you could have an esoteric type of butterfly? Yes. Would its body be shaped like a human? No. So fairies? No, not going to happen. Komodo dragons, when they were found, were drawn, and then drawn badly. That, blended with various fossils found of dinosaurs, led to the legends of the dragon. In the end, it really was just a Komodo dragon. It's a big lizard. In the end, fairies are just butterflies, moths. Pegasus' mythology. The unicorn is a mistranslation of the rhinoceros. It's even in its name still. Rhinoceros unicornus. There's also another one that has 2 horns. It has a different name. Don't worry about it. When it comes to these creatures, you have the ones that are semi-plausible, the ones like Bigfoot, the ones like Loch Ness Monster, the Mexican pterodactyls, giant squid, coelacanth. Coelacanth and giant squid have been proven to be real. Bigfoot, at this point, really not likely. But if you go into the history of it, what a Bigfoot really would be, what a Sasquatch would be, is really just one of the other early ape-men breeds. We come from 1 to 3 of what turns out to have been thousands of intermediary species between the pre-ape things that chimps basically are and what we are, more or less. Being really, really asshole species, we slaughtered all of the other hominids. But if one slipped out of our reach, slipped between the cracks, got up in the mountains where we couldn't go, had fur so it could go into the cold areas without protection, evolved to hide from us, that creature could be Bigfoot today. The thing, though, is that we've mapped Earth. We've mapped every part of Earth. We have not found even the most vague traces of Bigfoot. This giant squid was hiding down on the bottom of the ocean where we never went. But we've been up Everest. We've been in the Himalayas. We've been in the Pacific Northwest. We are not finding Bigfoot. Then you dig into the history and you find that Bigfoot's not an old legend anyway. But we did find coelacanth. A coelacanth is a type of fish with basically a skull face. This creature was 100% extinct until we found a branch of it still alive. Now, if you break up the DNA of this thing, it is not a fossil breed of coelacanth any more than we're a chimpanzee. We're not. But if you didn't really know what you were looking at, and you took a hairy human, you could easily mistake us for a gorilla if you had never experienced apes before. And coelacanth really comes down to that. You got to really kind of know what you're doing to study this thing and understand how different the current one is from the ones in the fossil record. But that doesn't change the fact that the legend said it shouldn't exist, and then we found it. The giant squid, the kraken, shouldn't have existed, and then we found it. So, Loch Ness Monster. Nessie. The idea behind it is that it's basically just a type of dinosaur. I can't really remember the name right now. Plesiosaur, I think it is. If a branch of plesiosaur got into an underground water cavern in Hollow Earth, and there's a whole ecology down there. Wow. Did that happen? We have never found any trace whatsoever that there is any giant Hollow Earth cave network of oceans with living dinosaurs in it. So, no. But it does inspire us towards branches of research, which is what I find interesting so much about cryptozoology. Now, I'm a writer. I am fascinated by stories. So the honest truth of the matter is that I'm also fascinated by stories of things like werewolves, nookavis, the yokai. Those are all amazing stories to me. But I always make sure to separate the ones that are truly magical. Like, there's a yokai that takes off its head and its head flies around without its body. That is not likely to happen. I mean, even if you had a creature that was semi-humanoid, that could somehow separate its head without its body dying, where's wings? This is a ghost story. This doesn't have any plausibility in reality. It's a ghost tale. It's a great one. I love those things. I love the stories of the nookavi, this creature that's like a demented mutant version. It's the evil hell version of a Pegasus. That's a horse with no skin, with the corpse of a man on its back, with a wobbling head and giant arms. It comes from the water and has fins, and it leaves a trail of pestilent smog wherever it goes. This is a really cool story. It's not a real thing. Pegasus can't exist. Pegasus has 6 limbs. But the unicorn is just a renamed rhinoceros. Bigfoot is really just a translation of various early hominids. Nessie is just the idea of a living fossil. We do find things from time to time. And I like to dig into the cryptozoology. I like to look at things. Chupacabra is a perfect example. We have this creature, it's the goat sucker from Mexico and Puerto Rico. It's a legend, but I heard an interesting story about it, that it was a fable based on a breed of coyote that had wound up bald because they were in the radiation zones in Nevada. And then they migrated south into Mexico and started attacking goats. Well, now we're into plausibility. Is it possible that you could have a breed, an entire family of hairless coyotes? Well, yeah, this happens. Is it possible that Chupacabra is a bipedal, bulletproof, dagger-fanged lizard species from Mars? No, it's not. There are no lizards on Mars. There are spiders on Mars, but there's no lizards on Mars. David Bowie joke. You always have to pick and choose. If you are looking for fairies and what you're looking for is breeds of stick insects, you might most likely find them. Is it possible a dinosaur could have survived? Yes. Is it possible that something could have been misnamed, like the rhinoceros? Of course. But when we're in the real world, rather than books, fiction, and stories, we have to work off of reality and off of physics. Other than the fact that we've mapped the surface of the Earth, science says that Bigfoot could be real. Science says that the Loch Ness Monster could be real. The issue there is that we found no traces, no lines, no lineage, and we've mapped so much of the Earth that at this point we can call it. It's done. There's no Bigfoot. There's no Loch Ness Monster. But they could be. These are not impossible premises the way that fairies are. I love to look into these ideas. And I loved as mythology, but I really love the idea of things like the giant squid being found. I am fascinated by the diversity on Earth. I'm fascinated by a creature like the platypus that has not a duckbill, but an extended leather lip on a pair of bone spurs. It looks like a duckbill because it serves the same purpose as a duckbill. It is not a duckbill. This is not a bird-mammal hybrid. It does lay eggs, but that's because all mammals used to lay eggs. Then there was a point where mammals transitioned to internal eggs. When your water breaks and giving birth, when a human has that happen, what that actually is the soft egg shell popping. There are babies, human babies periodically born, still in their sac. That sac is literally an egg without a hard shell. We still lay eggs. We just don't lay them outside our bodies anymore. The platypus still does. The monotremes still do. They're amazing. The marsupials are amazing. The wolverine frog, which as a defense mechanism found out that it could break the bones in its fingers and make them stab out of its skin to give it claws. It's amazing. The bombardier beetle, which figured out how to join various caustic chemicals to make napalm. The skunk, which has a pocket in its anal area that creates a bacterial colony of the same bacteria that decay corpses. So the stench of a skunk is the smell of death. This is fascinating to me. And too often, in looking for the things in our world that are amazing, people will get lost looking for the things that are truly magic and lose track of the amazement, the stunning magic that is in front of them. The platypus looks like a duck. It's one of the most amazing creatures out there, but it's amazing because it's rare. The reality is, the wolf is amazing. The cat is amazing. The human is amazing. All of these creatures are amazing. And when we stop trying to find magic, impossible things, we start seeing what's amazing right in front of us. So go out and play, have fun, see the world. Spend every day looking at the Discovery Channel and watching the Planet Earth documentary and watching penguins dancing, because they're amazing. And right now, in this era, in this time, in this week, there is nothing better for all of us than to be watching animals playing. Take care.